Okay, let's try that everything works. So if you can hear and see me, please let me know. I will try to set the computer so that I'll be able to see the comments this time. Not sure though that I can follow when I really get going, but let's see. So, hi everybody. Still sipping my tea before we start. Yay, no, there's one person. No persons. Maybe I started a bit early, but I just wanted to make sure that everything works. And it seems that my camera is working. And I hope that the mic is also working. Hi, Rashmi. So while we wait about 10 minutes till I start actually making the ATCs, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. And during the show, I'll try to watch all the comments, and Sharon will be here moderating. So she'll be answering the questions as well, but I'll answer after the show. If there's any questions, I'll go through the comments and then type the answers. So this is something we're doing today, a set of ATC cards, and there's a surprise in the back, but I'll show it a bit later. So welcome if you're joining in. Hi. I started a bit early today just to check that everything works. So no hurry just yet. Where are you from? I see there's a couple of people already watching. I know that Rashmi is from India. So happy you could join. Is there anybody else? I'm from Finland. So it's kind of almost the opposite of India. Thank you. These cards are made using the Georgia Blue, the new Prima collection, or one of them. And I really, really like the collection because, well, it's blue. Blue is my favorite color. And it has this beautiful inky, kind of inky blue tones, and also kind of watercolor vibe to some of the flowers, like the one here. Hi, Sonika. I'm just sipping my tea still. Waiting for 9 minutes to go, so maybe I started a bit too early. I can go over the products I'm using if you want to create alongside with me, if that's something you would consider. Hi, Martina. So for the bases, we're using the alphabet cards, which are almost ATC sized. Then the papers are all from this little pad, the 3x4 pad from the Georgia Blue collection. Then we're also going to use some inks and the permanent ones, Midnight Blue and Chat Noir. And then new Georgia Blue stamps, the cling stamps. Then some concentrated watercolor. This is called Clarity. It's lovely. Goes well with the collection, the color. And then impasto paint in cobalt and black gesso. Naturally, you could use also black impasto paint. We're just mixing the two to have that kind of inky blue that the Georgia Blues collection has. Let me try to find the inky blue. So, like that one, like really dark. And then actually some Prima flowers to decorate. Hi, thank you for joining. It's 9 or almost 9 p.m. here in Finland, and it's pitch black outside, but luckily I have 2 lamps, so you can actually hopefully at least see something from the project. We're making the little ATCs, and there's a reason why there's 5. I'll show you a bit later the trick, but I guess you maybe figure it out with the basis that we're using, the alphabet cards. Is there anyone else from Finland here? Perhaps, maybe. Onko joku muu Suomesta? Oh, gosh, there's been comments and it's, yeah, there's Mari. Hi, hi Mari, hi Shannon. Hi Valia. It seems that my screen isn't scrolling. So hi. So happy you could join. We'll start in about 5 minutes, the actual project. Just wanted to be here early and check that everything works. And it seems that it's working. I'm not sure why the screen is a bit like, I'm not sure if it's focused all right, because in my screen without the Facebook, it's really crisp, but now that I look at it, it's, well, I guess it's okay. It's not smudgy. I wonder how I would make this scroll down. Hi Maria, glad you could join. Nope, that's not the way. Denmark, hi. Yeah, Georgia Blue is one of the new collections. So it's been out like maybe 2 weeks. So here in Finland, we don't have it in resale just yet. It's currently shipping, so soon it will be. That's one of the new ones. Then there's also the Moonchild, a gorgeous collection by Frank. And then Lavender Frost is also new. Those 3 are the new collections. And well, I'm using the Georgia Blue because, well, it's new and it's blue. I love blue, but naturally you can use the same idea and techniques in like whatever color or whatever collection. I just happen to love the inky blue of the Georgia Blue, and it goes so well with the alphabet cards as well. Let's see. Yeah, I can totally relate to waiting impatiently. Hi. Just a few more minutes and then we'll actually start. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them now because it seems that the Facebook isn't scrolling the comments, and when I get started, then I probably won't be able to watch the screen, but Sharon will be here to moderate, so she'll answer if you have any questions. And also I'll type the answers after the show. And naturally, every time I'll use like Heat Tool or something, then I can pop over and see if there's been any questions. And you can also always email me if there's anything you want to ask. My email address, I can say it, but as my name is Finnish, then probably you don't know how to spell it. And well, spelling the letters in English, that might be too difficult for me, but you can find it in my blog. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Patricia. I would love to visit Poland someday. That's kind of a dream of mine, to come there someday, because there's so much scrapbooking industry in there as well, and marvelous designers. So just a couple more minutes and then we get started. So if you're just joining in, hi, it's Riikka from Finland here, creating some ATCs using mainly Georgia Blues and actually some mediums because, well, I'm a mixed media girl. So we have India, we have Poland, Denmark, and Suomi. Yay! Welcome. Just a few more minutes. So happy you could join today. Okay, now it's 9 p.m. here in Finland, so let's get started. So let me start by saying hi, it's Riikka Kovasin from Finland here, and we're creating some ATCs using the Georgia Blues, a new collection by Prima, and also some mediums, mainly blue, to go with the color scheme. There's kind of a little trick in these ATCs. I usually like to have something, and when you flip these over, as you can see, they spell blues. And the base are these, the alphabetic cards. So let me get these away. And let's get started. Naturally, you can use anything, but to me, the blue color of the alphabet cards, as there's this dark greenish bluish love color, it goes well with the collection. And if you have any questions, please just ask. I know I'll try to watch the chat, and also Sharon will be here if you have any questions. So I put these earlier, so we're going to make another set spelling blues. Just flip these over. And the first thing I'm doing, I'm building some layers to the background using the Georgia Blues. Naturally, you can use bigger papers as well, but as these are small cards, then the small teeny tiny bits of paper go well, as these are kind of perfectly sized for ATCs. So let's get those two and maybe a bit of that. And then let's just cut it. Hi, Taro. Hey, Taro. Oh, and a few words while I cut these. Just as you can see, I don't measure. I just randomly cut them into smaller pieces, different sizes rectangulars. So while I'll cut a few words in Finnish, if there's people from Finland watching. Heipä hei, tervetuloa. Kiitos kun tulitte. Ja tänä viikonloppuna, jos meikäläisen haluaa nähdä ihan livenä jotakin touhuamassa, niin Seinäjoella on Seinäjoen käsityömessu. Siellä olen demoilemassa Mixed Mediaa tagien muodossa, että kessoa ja gel-mediumia niissä, niin tulkaa vetäsemään hihasta. Siellä olen lauantaina paikalla. Oh, sorry, Sharon just. So here we have the pieces of paper. Then you could use a gel medium, and well, naturally I normally would use the soft body gel for this kind of, because it's perfect for collaging. But as the drying time is a bit different with the gel as with the just regular glue, so this time I'm going with just glue. All the pieces are so big. I think I need to cut some of them a bit smaller. And then that one. Oh, come on. Last of the glue, it seems. There. Then that, and then I'm cutting the rest of the pieces a bit smaller as they are too big and hiding all the pattern. So I usually make ATCs kind of a between projects type of thing, because they are, I don't do art journaling that much. Occasionally I do, but mostly I just kind of play with these little things. I can experiment and layer and just play. And then in the end, I have something that I can either give away or swap, or then these can be part of a bigger project. So let's use these. Maybe that one there. And as you can see, I don't think that much. Usually, like the more you plan and more you think, the harder it gets. But when you kind of just stick something down, then it's a decision made, and then you have to kind of work around it. So naturally you could think how to sorry, my English is not that good. How to position each piece, but as this is just the base layer, it creates like this a surface on top of which we're working on. Then there's kind of no point of using too much time trying to get that perfect, or think about it, and just push forward. So here they are now, just little pieces of paper, and that's also a good kind of starting point for any kind of project. Just layer some paper. So hi, now I see that there's Sharon and Tanya are here. Hi, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, Sharon is here, and we're doing some ATCs using Georgia Blues, one of the new collections. And this far we have just layered some papers to the alphabet cards. And what I'm now applying on top is clear gesso. So it's white-ish first and will dry completely clear and matte. And why I'm adding this, it's because it makes the paper non-porous. So when I'm adding mediums on top, they don't absorb into the paper right away, but instead I have some open time. And for example, with watercolors, if I think that I went too far, there's too much color, then I can even remove some of the color, which I wouldn't be able to do if it's just paper. So if you are ever in doubt, like putting some medium to your project, then I highly recommend using clear gesso underneath first, because then you have the ability to kind of move around with the medium. Naturally, with acrylic paint or anything permanent, then it's there. But with water-based mediums like watercolor or the color philosophy inks, not the permanent ones but the other ones, then you have a bit of time to remove something if you think that, oops, now I did something I shouldn't. And naturally then, if it all goes wrong, then you can always add white or black gesso on top and start over. So gessos are good. I'm just really fast using a broad brush and painting over. And even if, as you can see, I'm kind of concentrating the color on center of the card and not going over the edges, I certainly suggest, no, what's the word? Sorry, I'm failing. My English is failing me now. But recommend, yeah, that's the word. Sorry. Recommend adding the gesso all over, because then it's kind of the same way all the way. The card is looking the same. So then let's dry them. So if you have any questions, so far it's just been basic kind of layering, mixed media, background working. But if you have any questions, please let me know. And also if you can't, for example, hear or something, then I can speak louder. Oh, thank you. Most of the time I speak English okay, but today it seems like I'm losing words. So gesso dries really quickly. So it's at least dry enough, if not completely dry. Let me move this away. Then let's do another layer. What's fun with these collections, the new ones, there's stencils kind of all over the collection, because there's a stencil with the stamps and there's a stencil with the flowers. So on top of flowers or beautiful stamps, you get something extra, and that's a stencil. And for the background work, I'm using this stencil that came with the Georgia Blues cling stamp set. I think, I hope I'm getting it right. Well, Sharon will correct me if it's vice versa. And for the color, I'm using the impasto paint and black gesso. You could also use black impasto paint, but I just wanted to have this dark inky blue color, and the impasto paint, which is gorgeous, the cobalt one, it's too blue, too bright of a blue to get that inky color. So I just squeezed some paint here, going over with the sponge, kind of mixing it together. And as you can see, I dabbed then off because otherwise I'll ruin the pattern with too much paint. And then I just add some to my card using a cosmetic sponge. Let's try with that one. Again, this is just background work, so adding a bit of extra to the background. As you can see with the ready cards, it's not showing that much, but it's there. I really love building layers and using different mediums for the layers, because stencils are great for either background work, flat layers, or 3D dimensional layers. They go well with both. They go with ink, they go with paint. So they are really a versatile tool. And the Prima stencils are made of plastic, so they really go for a long time. If you happen to let something like a modeling paste dry them, then the little gaps might get clogged, but then when you soak the stencil in water, it usually gets those little pieces of paint or paint residue fell off, and then you can again use it. So it's kind of a great investment with the stamps and stencils, because they are basic tools you can use. So now we have the bottom layer, and then let's use this one. I'm not sure if you have tried the concentrated watercolors just yet, but they are gorgeous, and they come with this little dropper tool. And as I added the gesso underneath, I'm able to do this. If there wouldn't be the gesso and I just put a blob of concentrated watercolor on top, it would soak in, and then there would be a blob of color. But as there's the gesso underneath, I can then just take a wet brush and move the color around. And as you can see, there was just a teeny tiny bit of the watercolor there, and I'm able to use it throughout the whole card, and even some extra like for the splashes. So it really goes a long way. Somebody sometimes asked me how I'm doing my watercolor layers, and I actually needed to think what I kind of do, because she was mesmerized by the how the colors change and how there's kind of no edges, so to say. It's a blob. So I'm not using my paint brush like this. I'm using it more like it's flat, just gliding across the paper and moving around the paint. And also what I use, as you can see, is splashes. It's kind of, those splashes hide the edge, as now the contrast is not that big, so you really can't see the edge anyway. But on top of white, for example, as there's a harsh contrast between the color and the, well, just paper, then I find that the splashes help to kind of hide the edge, for lack of a better word. And what I also do, I kind of wiggle with the brush. It's not just I'm painting like this, but the brush itself, it's constantly moving. and that gives me kind of this free form. So then it's again drying time. And let me see at the same time if you have had any questions. Yeah, the watercolors are really, really gorgeous. They are highly concentrated, so there's a lot of big pigment in them. And, well, the colors are also really gorgeous. I do like the watercolor sets, like the little pans, the cubes as well. But these, well, you could make mists with these so easily as well. And they're kind of a whole new medium to play with. Yeah, gesso's good. Gesso is your friend. Especially if you love layering, then gesso is really handy to put underneath all the layers. So then there's more open time and more time to play. Then just one more layer and using a stencil again, because, well, here we did a flat layer with using just paint, or you could use ink, but stencils are also good for dimensional layers, and dimension is good, right? So I'm using another stencil, and this came with a flower set. I'm hoping I'm getting it right. And it has this lovely lace pattern, and because the ATCs are so small, I'm able to do 2 at one go. Oh, I misplaced one. Here it is. My silicone brush, and I'm just using modeling paste. The less you work, the better the result. So if you go over just once, it's usually better than if you go over a couple of times. Here we go. Then another one. And it starts to get underneath the stencil. So if you want to be really, really neat and have crisp images, then clean the stencil between the takes. Like do 2 and then clean the stencil and then again 2. But I'm more of a thereabouts crafter anyway, so I don't clean it between. Just adding a new one. You could use even gesso in this one, but the kind of more rigid, or how do you say it? More heavy body, the medium, the more precise is the stenciling. So even though the heavy body or the gessos are, gessos are heavy body or heavy, so that means they are thick. So then modeling paste is even thicker. And if you want a crisp image, then you need to use something thicker than gesso, like modeling paste. Paper texture paste also gives a lovely, I love that medium, but for this delicate stencil it might not work that well because it's a bit grainy. Hi Tyler, hi Lady, hi Gaia. So let me move these aside for a while. If you're just joining in, let me quickly go over that we're doing some ATCs using Georgia Blue collection, and we've done the backgrounds already with some gesso and 2 types of stenciled layers. And now I'm moving on to some stamping and doing some embellishments. As I've been saying about the stencils, that they are handy tools, go almost on forever. Then also stamps are kind of tools which you can use to make backgrounds. You can use those to make embellishments, titles. Naturally, you can even make blooms, even though naturally we all love Prima blooms. But if you want a layered bloom and have something like flowers to stamp, you can stamp that many times, cut it out, and make a bloom. If you're all out of Prima ones, that is. So, and I'm using a card from the journaling note card set. I'm just making some little embellishments. And as we're using the Georgia Blues collection, I'm using a blue ink. This one is called, let me just check, Midnight Blue. And it's the permanent ink one. You could use either the permanent or the non-permanent water-based ink for making the embellishments. But as I was making the original cards, I wasn't sure if I would add a medium on top. Then to me it's always good to be on the safer side and use something that won't bleed if I add water on top. So that's usually why I use permanent inks over the non-permanent ones. Let's do just one more of that, I think. Does the stencil come with flowers? This particular one, where did I put it? Well, the lacy one, I think that Finn has a bigger one that's sold separately, but the stencils go together either with stamp set or with the flowers. So you're kind of getting two in the price of one. There's now so many comments. Sorry for stopping. But if there's any questions that Sharon needs kind of my input, or I want to put my input, then I'll just write the answer after the show, because otherwise you'll be watching the freezed screen. And it should be dry. And using a grid design with the embellishments, that's handy, because now I just need to follow the grids. I try to be really quick, so you don't have to see me cutting. But you'll get the idea. Just stamping some embellishments, like little tags or tickets, clocks. And naturally you can use the stamps not only to stamp with ink, but if you have paper clay, which Prima also now has, you can make your paper clay embellishments, like stamping that little clock on top of paper clay. Or if you want kind of transparency embellishments, then just use ink that goes on top of sleek surfaces and cut those images out. That's also handy if you are kind of hesitant that if a stamp design will go, you have made the project is almost done, and then you're thinking, should I add stamped element or not? Then stamping it on top of a transparency and just adding it there with a transparency might do the trick if you're kind of timid of ruining the whole project by just stamping directly to the actual project. There we go, and then I think I used this one as well, so well, let's cut the little birdie with the notes as well. And I've been telling you how the flower packs have the stencil, and they also have a piece of vellum. Really handy. There's like all these little goodies you're getting on top of the beautiful Prima flowers. So I used that for the background layers. So let's get these. I need 5 pieces. 1. Oh, come on, why my paper cutter isn't working? 2, 3, and then just cutting it close, but I think I'll manage to have just 1 more, so that each card will have their own little piece. And as the modeling paste is still a bit wet, I can just press the vellum on top and it will stay. As the modeling paste itself, it's acrylic based, so it works as kind of a adhesive. There we go. Well, I don't want that crooked. Here we go. And then it's just layering the stamped elements, some flowers, the smaller ones. Let me get some out of the bag. Here we go. And the bigger ones. And just adding, maybe that would go here. And I think maybe a blue flower there. That one there. There flower. And then, so I'm kind of putting 1 big flower to each, as you can see. And then adding some of the stamped elements. I'm trying to divide these to each, maybe not upside down. Each card would have something stamped and a big flower. And then I just finish the composition or the cluster with the smaller ones, and then just use glue to adhere everything at once. Then just 1 more clock. I think everything has now at least one, but let's use that one there. And as this has already a blue one, then let's add in some of the old paper tones or tea tones, like that. Let's get it glued. Naturally, if you would like to add something heavier, that is to say a Finnaber metal embellishment or some other metal embellishments, for example, to decorate the cards, then you could use gel medium as the adhesive, because that way they would stay, they wouldn't fall off. But as the paper flowers are really light, they are not heavy, then a regular glue will do just fine. And then again, there's a blue flower, so let's add the lighter tones with the smaller flowers. And this is kind of basic composition rule of the third, or how do you say it? But at least usually odd numbers look better than even numbers. So there's kind of one card, one stamped item or the clock, and 3 flowers. Here there's 1 ticket and then 1 title and 1 big bloom and then 2 smaller ones, which makes up to 3. And I'm kind of used to putting things like really close to each other. Don't have to show the whole embellishment, but more like put it closely together so there's a cluster that gets the attention. It's kind of the focal point. Okay, then that one still. And then again, there's the white flower, so let's use the lovely blue little flower here. And maybe this that has a bluish black pattern on top. Okay. Then the last one. No more blue flowers on the table, so let me just quickly grab some from the pack. Let's do this one. Some glue there and then just the flowers on top. So they are done. Easy peasy little ATCs. So these are the ones I just made. Let me bring these again up here. And these are the previous ones. And the trick is, now they are in the wrong order, because for the start I actually arranged them correctly. But the back of the cards spells blues, as in Georgia Blues, the collection I was using for making these. So if you have any questions, now I can see the chat again if there's something, and I can answer the questions you had earlier after the show just by typing. So thank you so much for everybody coming. And I'll hope y'all see you again next month when I'm doing something else. Oh, by the way, I promised to show you a thing with the glue and the mold. But actually I don't have the glue gun on, sorry. So maybe I'll just show that one in my own Facebook page during the week, just really quickly, and then I can add the link here So sorry if you came for that one, because I totally forgot to preheat the glue gun, and it will take too long time for you to wait for it to work now. But I'll promise I'll make the really short video and show it the process I made last time with the cards. And well, that's it. Thank you so much for coming, and it was great seeing you. Bye. Thank you.